So there we have it. All right, first question. Democrats and Republicans' biggest fear. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Cornel West uniting together as independents. They can end the corruption in and around the U.S. government, even though they have disagreements about Israel. What would you think about an RFK Jr. Cornel West team up?
Well, first, I have some questions about who's on the top of the ticket. And secondly, I think there's a misunderstanding about why Israel is such a sticking point. It is not just an issue in isolation. To many of us on the left, RFK Jr.'s position on that issue is reflective of his failure to commit in any sincere way to an anti-imperialist agenda. If he is willing in that context to say we should commit American troops, we should get into war, what does it really mean that in the narrow context of Ukraine, he says, well, I don't want to support that war? How can we trust that he's not going to be saber-rattling for a war with China, for instance? And so I think it goes to the heart of his more broad ideological commitments. Outside of that issue, I think there's this issue of campaign donations and corruption. He is being backed by a multi-million-dollar super PAC that has limited transparency. We talked to the head of that super PAC, I think, last week.
Although, wasn't there some reporting that Cornel West got a bid?
I'm getting to that. And I think that was a core thing for many of us in the Bernie movement, and why we trusted him so much is that he took no billion-dollar donations, no super PACs, et cetera. Now, Cornel West and other progressives that have come down the pike apparently have not been willing to take that same commitment. Now, there was this news that he took a donation, or that a donation was made to him by Harlan Crow, who is this billionaire who has been in the news for having this close relationship with Clarence Thomas and accusations of Supreme Court influence and meddling. Now, it is, of course, the case that anybody can make a political donation. You can't stop someone from making a political donation, and a lot of folks donate to people across the field because they want to influence whoever wins. And Harlan Crow has also donated to No Labels and a lot of independent candidates. Maybe he just wants to spoil it for Biden, and it's not about a Cornel West. That being the case, I think Cornel West is going to have to respond to this, and I think give the money back. This happened to Bernie Sanders at one point. There's a Disney heir, Abigail Disney, who's a progressive and has good politics and has a ton of money because she's a Disney heir. She gave a big donation to Bernie Sanders back in 2020. He gave it back. But I don't think the indictment is getting the donation. It's what you do with it once you get it. So we'll see what happens with Cornel West.
I think that Cornel West and RFK Jr. and third-party candidates are interesting, and there should be a lot of unity among those of us who support third-party candidates for the purpose of reforming the actual voting system.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To make it, we have to stick together, not because we agree on what policies are right, but because we all have an interest in changing the system so that any of us could have a better chance, and so the system could be more coalition-based, the way it is in European countries that have more parliamentary systems. We need to stick together so we can hit the 5% funding threshold, the threshold of for the debates, so the third-party views can be represented there, and then really a third-party figure is not going to win the presidency outright ever. Third-party candidates can win and should concentrate frequently, more often, local races.
People love to say that, but you know who our last great third-party victory was? A little guy you might have heard of named Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, that was.
I mean, it's
that
true.
Does not count.
It's true. What happened was there was no party that was representing the interest that it later became the Republican Party, and someone who was willing to take this kind of a stance on the issue of the time. And I do think that there's some parallels to this moment with neither political party being willing to be an anti-interventionist party.
Yeah, I agree with that. The other party, the party other than the Democrats, the Whig Party, had collapsed and reformed itself as the Republican Party. So it was still two parties.
We've got one presidential candidate.
I hope that happens.
Who is tripping up the stairs, and another presidential candidate who might be about to be thrown in jail, who has all of his co-conspirators flipping on him in this Georgia case as we covered last week. So, it is an interesting political moment.